Hey there, this is Amelia here. Welcome to Amelia's crossdressing story. Today we are going to share a story called Trip to Paris Part 9. By Teddy. For more interesting and exclusive stories, please subscribe to my channel and support me at Patreon. Jason sat there and endured the plucking. When she was done, Linda looked at Ronnie. Ronnie smiled a little and again nodded yes. Then Linda went to work on his makeup, a moisturizer, more lip plumper, followed by all, as Jason had always thought of them, the mysterious things women did to make themselves look beautiful. Linda and Ronnie chatted back and forth the whole time Linda was working. She was explaining to Ronnie what she was doing. Jason hadn't a clue what she was talking about most of the time. But Ronnie was taking it all in. Then came the nails. Linda said, if you weren't wearing closed-toe shoes, we'd do a pedicure on you. But we'll do a manicure, use press-on nails, and use a nice color to complement your lipstick. Jason sat there and enjoyed the attention Linda paid to his nails. Working on the cuticles and shaping the ends. Linda, showing him a box of nails, said, these are self-stick press-on nails. I'll put them on, then put on 2 coats of polish and a clear coat. The glue is water-soluble, so all you have to do is soak your hands in warm water for about 15 minutes, and they'll come right off. Then if you want to reuse them, you can use regular nail glue. Jason watched as Linda carefully picked a size, placed the nail in place, and pressed it down firmly. They added about 1/4 of an inch to his natural nails. When she had all 10 in place, his made his hands look somewhat feminine. Then came the polish, and they really looked feminine. He liked what he was seeing. When Linda was all done, she looked at Ronnie, who had a big smile on her face. Now, for a wig, Linda said. Can I see? Jason asked. I think you should wait until we get the wig on. Don't you? Linda said, looking at Ronnie. Yeah, Ronnie said, I think the complete look needs to be there. No use spoiling the surprise. I'm thinking, with his blue eyes, a blonde or light brown with blonde highlights. Maybe. How about a strawberry blonde? Might work. I'll get a few, and we'll try them. Linda brought a few wigs in various styles and colors. And started trying them. A long blonde one, a shorter blonde one, a short light brown with highlights, and then a strawberry blonde one. Linda noticed Ronnie's face light up when she put the strawberry blonde one on Jason. The wig was a shag cut that did a nice job of framing his face. Linda spent some time styling it so it looked just right, then stood back and nodded yes. Can I see it? Jason asked. Just a second, lover, Ronnie replied, this needs something. Linda, didn't I see a good selection of earrings in the shop? There's a mixture of pierced and clip-on. It's a shame your ears aren't pierced, Ronnie said to Jason, or we could share. We can do that for you. But you'd have to leave the studs in for a few weeks until they heal. So, no really pretty ones for a while, Linda added. No way, was Jason's reply. Ronnie, as she walked out into the shop, looked over her shoulder and said, chicken. Then Linda said to Jason, you know, you're only the second guy that I've done a makeover on that's had a girlfriend with him. I wish I had a girlfriend that was as supportive as she is. Not a girlfriend, Jason replied, she's my wife. You lucky guy. And, she's very pretty to boot. Thank you. You a girlfriend? Yeah. I'm a guy. I just love to dress and look like a girl so much that I've started living full-time as a one. Jason snapped around, looked at Linda, and said, you are kidding? You are a guy. You look, and even sound, just like a girl. All guy except for some minor surgical stuff. It's taken a lot of work. I would have never guessed. That's the idea. I only tell people that I want to know. And I get hit on by guys all the time. But I only like girls. So, Linda said, with a big smile, I guess I'm a lesbian. Just then Ronnie came back with a pair of earrings. She carefully clipped them on Jason's ears. Then said, if it's all right with Linda, you can look. As Linda turned the chair toward the mirror, she said, "Fine by me." Ronnie and Linda watched as the expression on Jason's face turned from one of utter surprise to one of utter wonder. Linda whispered to Ronnie, "I just love watching the expressions when it turns out this good." "And it is very good," Ronnie whispered to Linda, then said to Jason, "Well, what do you think, lover?" "I don't know what to say. It's amazing. I love it. I actually look like a girl," Jason replied. "Yes, you do. Wait till you get the dress on." Ronnie got the dress, helped Jason into it, and zipped it up for him. He looked in the full-length mirror and just loved what he was seeing. Linda said, "The only thing I would change is black underwear for the white." "I thought of that," Ronnie said, "but it's all he has right now." "But we'll fix that. He's a lucky guy to have someone like you." "No. I'm the lucky one." "Jason, do you mind if I take a few after pictures? I like to keep a record of makeovers when they turn out this good. And I'll give you a disc with copies of them. Go right ahead and take all you want. Then you can show me where I can take off the makeup." Ronnie glared at Jason, put her hands on her hips, and said, "Take it off. Take it off. You really want to undo all of Linda's hard work that quickly?" Jason said, "No. But what? I'm not going home like this." "Who said anything about home?" "Huh? See how I'm dressed?" "Yeah. I was wondering why you were so dressed up. I didn't dress this way just to come here. I want to go out to dinner." "No problem. I'll just change back into my guy clothes." "They're not dressy enough." "Not dressy enough?" "Nope. We're going someplace fancy. We can go home and I'll change." "We don't have time for that. We'd be late for our reservations at the fireside." The whole time this conversation was going on, Linda was standing behind Jason and trying to control herself. She saw where Ronnie was going with this. "The fireside. Our reservations are in just under an hour. I can't go like this." "Why not?" "Everyone will know I'm a guy. Besides, what if we see someone that we know? Believe me, no one could tell you're a guy, and there is no way that anyone would recognize you. I'm married to you, and I wouldn't recognize you. They would just think I'm out with a girlfriend." "What did you see when you looked in the mirror?" "Me, dressed as a girl." "Well, yeah. When I look at you, I see a girl. I know it's you. But if I didn't know it was you, I would have figured you for a real girl. It's amazing how good you look. The only thing that would give you away is when you talk. You really want to go out with me looking and dressed like this? Won't you be embarrassed?" "Yes, I want to go out with you. You look just fine. And, no, you won't embarrass me or yourself. If I thought you would, then I would never suggest it. I wouldn't hurt you that way." Jason turned and looked at Linda for some support. Linda smiled at him and said, "Don't look at me, honey. She's telling you the truth. I would even be happy to be seen with you. You are very passable, except for the voice and some mannerisms. Just watch the real girls and learn. And just believe in yourself, relax, be confident, and enjoy. The whole trick is being confident and learning the mannerisms. Look at me. You didn't know I was a guy until I told you." With a look of total surprise, Ronnie looked at Linda. "Sorry," Linda continued, "while you were in the shop, Jason and I were talking, and I told him that I'm really a guy. I just happen to love girl things so much that I live full-time as a girl. A little surgery on the face and boobs. And no one knows unless I tell them or they see the extra equipment." "You fooled me," Ronnie said. "That's the idea. It's all an illusion. And, Jason, you really do look good enough to pass." Handing him a photo album, Linda continued, "Take a look through this album and find anyone prettier, more feminine than you are right now. Ronnie walked over and looked over Jason's shoulder as he went through the album. On one side of a page was the photo of a man, on the other was a photo of a woman. Jason asked, "Before and after shots?" "Yes. Some of them are very good. In fact, 3 of them, like me, live full-time as girls. This album is the best of the best we've ever done. And I want to add you." After looking at all the pictures, Jason said, "I think all of these girls are better looking than I am." "Honey," Linda said, "pick one and I'll hold it up next to the mirror so you can compare them." Jason picked one, Linda held it up next to the mirror, and Jason looked. Then Linda picked one and also held it up next to the mirror. Linda then said, "And?" Jason answered, "They're both very pretty, and I'd figure them for real girls." "You really think I look that good?" "You look as good as the second one, and better than the first. You saw it for yourself. Didn't you?" "Looks like I'm outvoted in this," Jason said. But what?" Ronnie asked. Holding up his left hand, he pointed to his wedding band, a man's wedding band, and said, "This, and it's not coming off." "And my watch." Linda said, "I'll be right back." And she walked back into the shop. "She's really a guy?" Ronnie whispered. "That's what she told me. And that she also only likes girls." "Interesting." Linda was back in a couple of minutes, carrying a few things. And said, "Put this ring on, next to your wedding band. It will make it look smaller, and it looks like an engagement ring. Take off your watch, and put this bracelet on. It will hide the mark left by the watch. This purse will go really great with the dress. This choker necklace will really add some class. And, since you're going out, there's one last thing I'd like to do." "What?" Jason asked. "I'd like to glue your wig on. The pinning that I did should hold, but the wig glue would really hold it in place. There wouldn't be a chance that it would come off, and you could brush it if necessary. And it would help it feel like it was really a part of you." "Why not?" "What's one more thing?" "Jason," Ronnie said, "Linda is only trying to help." "I'm sorry. But the butterflies are starting to have young." "That's all right," Linda said, as she started to carefully glue the wig on. When she was done, she put a bottle of remover in Jason's purse. As they were walking back through the store, with Jason in the lead, Linda said, "You know, Jason, you walk in those heels just like you've done it all of your life. You even have a nice little wiggle." Ronnie turned to Linda and said, "He told me that heels were one of his favorite things to wear. No one is ever going to read that he's a guy from that walk. It's not overdone." A little while later, Jason and Ronnie were pulling into the parking lot of the Fireside. Ronnie had driven, Jason didn't feel secure driving in 3-inch heels. Walking, yes. Driving, no. They decided to park the car themselves, instead of using the valet service. As Ronnie parked the car, she said, "Just let me do all the talking, and everything will be fine." "I can't do this." She turned, looked at him, and said, "Honey. It will be fine. I'd never do anything to hurt you. If I didn't think that you could pass, we would have just gone home. I figured that if the boutique did as good of a job as they said on their website, that you would be passable. Linda did a remarkable job on you. You look very great. You just have to relax. But, if you really want to leave, we will. I'm really scarred. All I wanted to do was find out what I'd look like with makeup and a wig. And, now you've got me conned into going to a restaurant. If someone figures it out. No one will. Believe me, you make a very pretty lady. You're tall, but your total look fits that. And, if I feel that someone has read you, I promise, I'll get us out of there as quickly as I can. It's really against my better judgment. And, I should be really mad at you. But, if you think it will work. I guess. It'll be fun. Relax, and you'll be just fine. Just hold your head high. Like you're confident as to who you are, and are saying, look at me, I'm pretty, I'm feminine, and I know it. And just a little smile. The smile adds to the mystique. And be sure and let the maitre d' help you with your chair. Jason looked at Ronnie, took a very deep breath, and got out of the car. As they walked to the restaurant, she watched him walk, smiled, and told him, steps a little shorter. Swing your hips just a little more. Let the heels do their thing with your walk. You've done it at home. The doorman opened the door for them and said, "Good evening, ladies." The maitre d' met them and asked, "Ladies, may I help you?" "Yes," Ronnie answered, "you have a reservation under the name of Blackwell." The maitre d' checked his reservation list and said, "Yes, miss. A table for two. It will be about 20 minutes before it's ready. May I suggest waiting in our lounge?" "Thank you. That will be fine." The two girls walked into the lounge, found a table, and sat. Ronnie could sense that Jason was very nervous. She leaned over, placed her hand on his knee, and whispered, "Honey, relax. You are doing great. Like Linda told you, you walk in those heels just like you've done it all your life. And sweeping your skirt under you is the piece de resistance. If you say so. But seeing everyone looking at us makes me very nervous. Remember that we are both taller than the average girl. With 3-inch heels, it puts both of us at just over 6 feet tall. Most people always take a long look at tall girls. I've gotten it all my life. Besides, Linda made you look very pretty, and they're looking at that too. The men in want, and most of the women are jealous." A waitress came up and took their drink order. After she had returned with their drinks, Ronnie said, "I have to use the ladies." "Okay. I'll be here when you get back." "No, girlfriend. Girlfriends go to the ladies together." His eyes got big as he said, "No way. There's no way. I really can't do that." "Sure you can. Come on." "No way. Honey. It would look strange if I went and you stayed here. Besides, what if someone talks to you?" Jason frowned at her a little, got up very reluctantly, and walked with Ronnie to the ladies' room. At the door, he hesitated. Ronnie looked at him with a little smile, he took a deep breath, and they walked in. There were 2 ladies just finishing and walking out. The 4 smiled at each other. As Ronnie went into a stall, she said to Jason, "Just go over there and freshen your makeup. Linda put everything that you'll need in your purse. I won't be long." This was the fanciest restroom Jason had ever been in, fancy wallpaper, 2 dressing tables, and a couch. He walked over to one of the 2 dressing tables, sat, and looked in his purse to see what Linda had put in it. A lipstick, some of the perfume that she had used on him, mascara, compact, a small hairbrush, his wallet, the glue remover, and a white cardboard tube. He looked at himself in the mirror and still couldn't believe the work that Linda had done. It looked to him as if his lipstick could use a little touch-up. So, he carefully applied a little lipstick and blotted it as Linda had him do. Ronnie came out of the stall, stood and watched Jason for a minute. She smiled as she watched him check his makeup and look at his hair. She walked up behind him, looked into the same mirror, checked her makeup, and said to him, "Fluff your hair a little like this." And she used her fingers to fluff her hair a little, and he followed suit. Then she said, "Ready, lover?" I'm glad no one came in. Jason was leading them back to their table in the lounge, and he froze. And Ronnie said, "What?" "It's Mrs. Reynolds, Mom and Dad's next-door neighbor, and Mrs. Carver," Jason whispered. "Where?" "Just walking into the lounge, and they're headed this way." "Relax. Let me handle it." As they continued walking back to their table in the lounge, Mrs. Reynolds recognized Ronnie, smiled, and said, "Hello, my dear." "Hello, Mrs. Reynolds." "Mrs. Carver. How are you?" "I'm fine, dear." "Is Jason with you?" Mrs. Reynolds asked. "No. Just a girls' night out with my friend, Jamie. She's visiting from France." "Mrs. Reynolds, Mrs. Carver, this is Jamie Daubin." "Jamie, this is Mrs. Reynolds and Mrs. Carver." You'll have to excuse Jamie, she came down with a bad case of laryngitis on her flight over here and she can't talk. The three greeted each other and Mrs. Reynolds said, "You poor dear. Lots of hot tea with lemon and honey should help." "Thank you, Mrs. Reynolds. We'll give that a try," Ronnie said. "Have a nice evening without the men. We all need that once in a while. And say hello to Jason for me." "Thank you," and with a smile, Ronnie said, "and yes, it's nice being out without the men." Ronnie and Jason walked back to their table in the lounge and sat back down. Jason looked at Ronnie and whispered that was too close. "And where did Jamie Daubeen come from?" "It wasn't that close. She's known Jason since you moved here and there was no sign of recognition. Jamie Daubeen was just a grasp. I needed a feminine name for you, and that's just what popped into my mind. Daubeen is Mir's maiden name. And your little smile didn't hurt. And I think you're going to be Jamie from now on when you're dressed. Quick thinking, girlfriend." And that was a nervous smile. Ronnie smiled at that. A few minutes later, the maitre d' walked up to their table and said, "Ladies, your table is ready. If you will follow me."